Hello everyone, how's it going? Sorry for the gap in uploading the videos. Not sure if they've really been useful thus far. If they have, then great. Else, let's continue. So if you remember, in the last video we had a brief introduction to lists. So to refresh our memories, let's go back and see how we can create a simple list. So to create a simple list, we start off by defining a variable. Let's call that x equal to, open a square bracket, and if this is going to be a list of numbers, let's say the numbers are 1, 3, 4, 8. So we basically have a list of 4 elements. All of them are the same data type, which is a number. Now to print the list, all what you have to do is use the keyword print, open bracket, and mention the name of the list. To run this, use the run option on the menu bar. There you go, you see the elements of the list. Now we mentioned another point in the last video, which is that in Python you can have a list where the elements can be of different data types. This list which we just created has elements of only one data type, which is a number. You could have elements of different data types, and let's see how. So let's create another list. Let's call it y and open a square bracket again. Let the first element be a number. The second, let that be a string. So let's let that string be called test. And let the third element be, let's say, an embedded list, which is a list inside a list. So 4, 5, 8. Now to print the list, once again, write print, open bracket, mention the name of the list and run. With this, you should be able to see the elements. There you go. So now we were able to create 2 simple lists and display the elements. Now let's go a little further. Let's look at something called indexing. So what exactly is indexing? Indexing is basically a method by which you would use an index to access the elements of a list. Let's see what we're talking about. So if you go back to the first list which we created, it's basically a list of 4 numbers. Let's say you want to print the third element of the list, which is the number 6. How would you do that? So to do that, once again, use the keyword print, nt, open a square bracket, mention the name of the list which is created, which is x, and open another bracket inside which you would specify the index. So we said we want to print the third element of the list, which in this case is 6. So the index in this case would be 2. Why is it 2? It's 2 because indexing or an index would always start with the number 0. What I mean to say is the first element of any list can be accessed by the number 0. So x of 0 would refer to the first element, which is 1. X of 1 would refer to the second element, which is 4. X of 2 would refer to the third element, which is 6, and so on and so forth. Once again, this is a common feature across all programming languages. Indexing always starts with 0. So in this case, we said we want to print the third element of the list. So in this case, it would be 1. So in this case, it would be an index of 2. So let's see what the output results in. So once again, we would say run. There you go. So the third element of the list has been created, has been printed. Now let's say you want to print the last element of the list. How would you do that? So with the little knowledge which we have, what we could do is print, open square brackets, access, and open another bracket. So we said we want to print the last element. So the last element would be indicated by the number 3, because the first element would be accessed using number 0. The second element would use 1. The third element would be can be accessed by the number 2. The fourth element can be accessed by the number 3. So we'll put 3 in there. Let's see what the output results in. The output results in 8, which is what we were looking for. Now there's one other way of accessing the last element, rather of printing the last element, and that is by using something called negative integers, which is another feature in Python. So basically you can basically use a negative index and this might be useful in case of accessing elements of a long list. The list which we have just has 4 elements, so we know that by simply saying print x of 3, we would be able to access the last element. But what if we had a huge list? Of course, we can get the length of the list. We can use the length function, get the length, and use that to print. But the easier way out would be to use a negative index. Let's see how. So once again, use the keyword print, print, open bracket, open a square bracket, mention the name of the list, open another bracket, and use the index -1. -1 would always point to the last element of the list. Now to see what this results in, use the run function. There you go. So the last element of the list is 8, which is similar to the result got using the previous print statement, where we actually use the index 3. So that was a brief introduction to indexing in this particular video. Hope it was useful. Now in future videos, we will look at other ways of indexing, other approaches which one could take in order to access elements of a list, one of them being slicing. Till then, goodbye.